Whether you are thinking about becoming a restaurateur or you are already in the business, Michael Politz has written a must-read, The Food and Beverage Magazine's Guide to Restaurant Success. Pick up your copy today at Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Books A Million, or wherever fine books are sold.
Food and Beverage Magazine Live, bringing food and beverage to life with your hosts, James Beard Award winner Jennifer English and Food and Beverage Magazine publisher Michael Politz. Featuring leaders in the hospitality, branded food and beverage, and CPG industries, many of whom are Jennifer and Michael's friends in the business. For an informal and informative conversation where friends in the business share the latest intel, ideas, and best practices. Live, juicy inside scoop from the tastemakers, newsmakers, bread bakers, drink shakers, spoon lickers, clam diggers, farms, foodies, and friends of the food and beverage magazine world. Here are your hosts, Jennifer English and Michael Politz.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Jennifer English. I'm the editor-at-large of Food and Beverage Magazine, and I have an eye on the future of food. Food 3.0 is going to be really delicious. It's going to be extra nutritious, and everybody we've spoken to says that it's going to involve more plants and plant-based experiences. There's going to be more diversity. But one of the things we consistently hear from people is that there is a magic in the future as well of what we eat, and it will come from one of the most ancient sources that unites us. James Beard, the father of American gastronomy, said that food unites us. Tell me what you eat and I'll tell you who you are, said Bullet Savarin. But even truer than that, 650 million years ago, we all had something much more in common. We are going to take you into the wonderful world of fungi, mushrooms, and the king of this category in my book is my friend in the mushroom business. His name is Dennis Vidmar. He joins us from the Mush Hub, the mushroom company that he has created that literally will change your future in food. He joins us now. Dennis, how are you?
Hello, hi Jennifer. Live from the Mushroom Hub here in Detroit at 4240 Cass Avenue in Canfield in Detroit. I say hello, and yes, according to James Beard, I am a fungi, as I do consume 3 to 4, sometimes 5 pounds of mushrooms a week.
Wow.
Well, they are my number one go-to dish. Sometimes I will be creating a dish out of 3-4 varieties of mushrooms. You know, working in a mushroom store gives me the ability to work with a multitude of different varieties. And so when I make a dish, I will combine 3-4 different in the pot. And for me, that is enough. For me, I do not need addition, but that does the trick.
Fungi are the omnivores of the food chain. They are super versatile, they're ultra delicious, and they're absolutely loaded with nutrients. You say stay tuned because the future is both delicious and nutritious. It's rooted in fungi and mushrooms. We have so much to go over. You and I could do 5 hours on mushrooms and just scratch the surface because it really is something that is bigger than just the idea of food. Can you take us to the 100,000 feet perspective on what mushrooms are historically now? Because you really get it. You understand what this is all about.
Well, as you started off the program with, you know, we are the fungi is our ancestor. We are now reconnecting it. You know, I always say we've now entered the decade of mushrooms, the era of fungi, and it is this time when we realize the understanding of how connected we are to fungi. You know, I believe that when you look at all the deficiencies in the world on our planet, vitamin D is one of the key deficiencies across the globe. And over 20 different top diseases that we're fighting on an ongoing basis that is causing us a tremendous amount of volume of expenditure on our healthcare systems across the globe is vitamin D. And here you have a product that is natural in vitamin D. You know, This is a morel mushroom, for example.
Wow.
Not a lot of people know. Now is the season. This is an Oregon morel, which is only available a couple of months out of the year because of different areas of North America that we're honored to have. But this mushroom here I eat this mushroom for my vitamin D, but primarily I eat this mushroom for protein. Sorry.
Wow.
In addition to protein, it's iron. Right, so you have a mushroom that contains iron, protein, and vitamin D, and it is something that through consumption you're able to intake. Right, to me, you are what you eat. Your refrigerator should be your medicine cabinet, and I believe that path begins with adding mushrooms to every meal. And I do believe that this mushroom here, which in addition, when you expose it to the sun for 30 minutes prior to cooking her, whether it's any mushroom, whether it's the morel or any other mushroom, some mushrooms gain enough vitamin D for your daily requirement. So when you're looking at that power where, we go outside and we expose our skin to the sun, the mushrooms do the same. So you have different mushrooms that are grown. We cultivate the lion's mane here in Windsor, Ontario, which is just about 6.5 miles away from the Detroit store.
Wow.
And we grow the beautiful lion's mane mushroom. Now, everybody today knows this is the functional mushroom, the adaptation mushroom that helps neurogenesis. Right, and so when a mushroom that actually looks like a brain, right? Usually they tell you, if a food looks like a specific
body part,
that we should consume it more. And the beautiful part about this mushroom is that Asian cultures have been devouring this mushroom for centuries and are better for it and have been keeping the secret. And now the North American market is getting atop to actually consuming it more. So today you will find lion's mane coffees, you'll find lion's mane teas, powders. We sell them here in store. We have a variety of different great mushroom products that we sell here at the Mushroom Hub, all ranging from companies from East Coast to West Coast, and we only source North American because we want to get people to understand the value of knowing where your food comes from and also the quality of that food that it presents.
650 million years ago, you say we all descended from the kingdom of fungi. That is the common ancestor that we share. I understand that. Can you tell me about how, like a light switch, we want people to understand that you can turn on a bountiful body of nutrition by adding this category in all its forms to our regular diets to turn on all those benefits? It's so important for people to understand this, and I don't want to belabor the point, but we cannot overstate it enough. This is such a critical time, and you are doing such important work. Can you talk about that, how we need to add these to our diet?
Yeah, I mean, we're living in a crazy time now. There is a war. A war has been waged on our health, and so we're now at a point in time where we're thinking, okay, do we choose convenience, which is the processed food section? When you walk into a grocery store, that whole center of the whole center part of the market you should have a license to go into that. We should be purchasing food all the way on the outside parts of that of our grocery stores, because that is where value happens, right? But I'll go back to the whole vitamin D component, which we stress tremendously here in the store, is that this deficiency can be solved. It can be solved not by popping a pill. It can be solved by adding mushrooms to every meal. And the luckily part is that, when people say, well, I can't eat the white button mushrooms every single day of the week, I said, no, I get that. That's why there's a mushroom hub here. And that mushroom hub allows you to have that ability. Ooh, are those golden oysters?
I was going to say, in preparation for our conversation today, beautiful. I went and got some golden oysters.
Did you get that from Hypa Foods?
I got this from a company called, hang on, please, Guan's Mushroom Company, product of the USA.
Yes. Okay. So I don't know how much I should say about this right now because you put me on the spot.
Oh, well, you asked.
The one thing about our mushroom market, which a lot of people don't know, in the last decade, we've been battling with the Chinese mushroom on the market. These are logs that are produced in China. We don't know what goes into
even if they're grown in the U.S. I think
they're
this
grown
is really
in the US.
important But this is important for people to know. Even if it says product of USA, it may not be what we think it is.
Definitely not. And the fact that that mushroom is actually starts from incubation all the way down to fruiting, it's still a 100% Chinese product. It just happens to be in a zip code that it was taken off that log, put it in a box, and says product of USA. Right now, there's an article that came out in the Star up in Canada, which talks about mushrooms that have been classified. So when you look at the recall list of all the mushrooms on the market right now, and this is a completely different topic, but we got to get into it, is that the Star just now came out specifying a mushroom that's being sold in Walmart, which has found traces of listeria. And these are mushrooms that came out of China. Right? To me, your food should be at your fingertips. It should be food. You should know your farmer. You should understand where that food comes from. And you should understand what the value of that is. You know, here in the store, we're very proud of the fact that so those are Chinese mushrooms right there. Those are Chinese shiitakes, you know, the xianggu. Yeah. I mean, they're super delicious.
About these?
You know what? I can't tell you to be worried about it or not, because right now there's nobody putting an accountability factor on those mushrooms. Nobody's taking them to the lab and testing them and saying, okay, this is what we found. Right. So like there's a few years back, a researcher in New York decided to test frozen porcinis that came out of Eastern Europe and found traces of radiation, you know, because of the Chernobyl factor. Mushrooms are a sponge. They take in their full environment. So if you're growing shiitakes on a sawdust that came out of a tree that has been suffocating in pollution, you're going to get essence of that in the mushroom. Right. And so you want to make sure that the product is coming from a safe quality food environment. And I can tell you today that most facilities do not live by that standard. Then additionally, you want to know that those ingredients are accountable.
That's why you have to trust your vendor. You have to develop a trust with someone who is credible and trustworthy, which is why you are our friend in the business. And because it matters. Now, if I go into a restaurant and I order a mushroom soup, for instance, and I do this, I go to a hot pot restaurant and I get mushroom soup all the time. And many of the mushrooms in that soup have been dried or dehydrated and then brought back to life. And it's delicious. And I feel better eating my mushroom soup. And I do this once a week. And then I have a little bit of mushroom broth every day. Because I think it's important to recognize that all of the nutrition, the vitamin D, all of the iron, all of the protein, everything that comes from these that is going to be beneficial to us is why you're in this business right now and why our future is related and directly connected to the kingdom of fungi. Can you talk a little bit about good mushrooms and why we really need to know what are the key questions we have to ask to know that we're getting the good mushrooms?
I think it comes down to accountability component, right? So I order mushrooms when I go into a restaurant, I order a dish that has mushrooms on it, and then I ask for extra mushrooms. And then I always get a little bit hurt when I'm reading a wild mushroom risotto and all I see is a cremini mushroom slapped with a tad bit of white butt mushroom on top or whatever else. So to the consumer, that is a falsified component on a plate, because you are paying that $25, let's say, for that wild mushroom risotto, when in fact there's no wild mushrooms part of it.
Right.
So I think the conversation now where we're at is we need to educate the population, educate the masses in regards to, number one, knowing what type of mushrooms are out there, knowing what is wild, what is cultivated. Wild mushrooms will always have more nutrients than the cultivated.
Right.
Right. The wild mushrooms. So this is a chanterelle that just came into season.
Oh, wow.
Right. So this is our first week that we have chanterelles in house. Super delicious mushroom, incredibly nutritious. Of course, the morel. And then now we're getting into the chicken of the woods, hen of the woods, and so forth, right? And
now is really one of the best times of the year for mushrooms, isn't it?
Oh, yes, especially the next, like fall from the Pacific Northwest region to Middle America to, well, now in Detroit, Michigan, and Windsor, Ontario, and expanding further is the time to really go in and ask the questions on mushrooms. everywhere that we are, no matter where you are on this continent right now in North America, you can walk into a bush and you will find mushrooms that are extremely healthy for you. You will find mushrooms that have so much nutritional density that people, the big pharma companies don't want you to know, because they rather you pop the pill than actually take the time to actually cook that meal, find that meal, cook that meal, and enjoy that meal, right? Because in the end, it comes down to the consumption factor, and you are what you eat, and nobody can say anything other than that.
Would you rather we eat any mushrooms we can get our hands on over not eating mushrooms at all, even
100%.
if they come in a box like this? And if they come in a box
100%.
like this, make sure how do we handle them to make sure we get all the benefit? First, put them outside like I do and get some sun. But talk a little bit, what would you do with mushrooms like these if you found them?
I would, if I don't know the company, I would wash them. The mushrooms that we deal here in-house, they're all certified organic, locally grown. So we don't, unless they're, like the wild mushrooms here, they have a little bit of a fern or two or a grass patch on them. I actually like cooking with that. It gives me a little bit more of that earthiness to it, because there's additional nutrition in that, right? Definitely wash the mushroom. If you don't know where it's coming from, wash the mushroom first. I like to personally boil mushrooms out. I like to allow the boiling process to really boil that mushroom from within, because mushrooms are 85 to 95% water. So when you just slap it on top of butter or olive oil, you're actually getting all of that delicious taste out of the mushroom. So I always tend to boil her first. Now, if I'm uncertain of where that mushroom came from in regards to not knowing who the actual grower is, I will put more water in there, boil out further, and then just dump the water out before I add the olive oil or butter, salt, pepper, and then the garlic, the onion, and the rest of it into it.
Cutting mushrooms, don't cutting mushrooms, use the stem, don't use the stem. What are some basic tips for any mushroom, no matter what kind it is? We see little white button mushrooms at grocery stores. You might find these at a farmer's market this time of year. What's the best thing to do to a mushroom if you get one in your hands?
So the one that you're holding there, the Shiitake mushroom, super great mushroom, right? No matter where she comes from, she will be a benefit in your system if you're not consuming her, period, right? The Japanese are known to have low cholesterol and blood pressure. They owe it to adding a pound of mushrooms to their family diets every single week for the last, couple hundred centuries, if not more. So that mushroom that you're holding, I would take the other hand and I would pull the stem off the cap. So I'll pull the stem off. Perfect. Now in your right hand, I would take so that's your left hand. Are we looking? Oh, that one. Yeah. So the stem part of the mushroom, I would cut that up. Shiitake mushrooms tend to have they're like they get caught in your teeth if you cook them like that. So what I do is see how the more that you break her apart, the more she has the tendency to get stuck between your teeth, and then it makes it a little bit awkward to eat. So I always give a suggestion to chefs to take that mushroom, the stem, and dice it up like green onion. So that way that umami flavor that you get from the stem is still there, and you're still getting that juiciness out of her, but it's not getting caught in your teeth. So it's much easier to process. The cap itself that you took up, I would just break it apart. I mean, I would eat that. That's big enough that I would keep that as is, because I just love when you cook the shiitake the right way, the juiciness out of the shiitake, the umami flavor, the aftermath. Oh my God, it's super good.
But look at the shape and the composition, the architecture, the bio architecture of it, the fibrousness, everything about this is such a miracle. We can learn so much about where we fit into the ecosystem on the planet by understanding who and what we share the ecosystem with, including these incredible mushrooms. I love the idea of washing them and then boiling them.
Yeah.
And bringing them. Go ahead.
For sure. And going back to what you said, mushrooms are the #1 recycler on our planet. We come from mushroom and we end up with mushrooms, right? And so when you look at a powerful tool like that, it's going to change the world. With every step that we take, when we walk outside, there's miles and miles of mycelium network underneath our feet, a connected hyphae that make our planet better, that help our trees communicate, get the nutrition between each tree, thanks to the mycelium network, which is the which is the mind frame, the body, the brain of fungi network, which then, you get the fruiting body, which is the mushroom, right? And so if anybody's getting into mushrooms right now, two things, and you've got Netflix, 90% of people that I talk to have Netflix. Watch Fantastic Fungi by Louis Schwartzberg and Paul Stamets. And there's a new video that just came out, a 4-part series in How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. Yes, and watch that. We're not getting into the conversation of psilocybin right now, but psilocybin is part of 200 plus strains of fungi contain psilocybin. It will be the conversation of how we, when you talk about healing your mind, body, and soul, well, psilocybin comes on the mind component, as does the lion's mane mushroom, right? This mushroom, going back to what I said, right now is being tested on patients who are battling dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and people come to the store to buy it for focus. They buy it for brain fog. They buy it for numerous amount of different memory functional components, which help our brain be better. But if you're buying any of these products that we carry, and we've got we've got over 50 different SKUs of mushroom products in store. If you're doing it for your health, make sure that you're doing it like health, like medicine. Respect your circadian rhythm and say, I want to fix my brain. So every day at 7 o'clock at PM or 7 a.m., I'm going to consume this mushroom in any way, shape, or form that I bought it. Right. So that's why I encourage a lot of people. Additionally, there are so many people that have got into the industry over the last 24 months. Some of them didn't get into the industry for the right reasons. They came into it for money. Great. You're going to make your money. But in 2-3 years, those people will be inexistent. Right. We're not going to have those products in the market. However, there'll be people on the market which are still going to push the agenda, push the narrative into understanding what it actually means. This is a relationship that requires attention. It is a relationship that removes the convenience, which is the plague of our time. It is a conversation which is long-lasting. It's longevity. It is how do we not only change our mind, how do we change our being, our actions? It's the essence of life.
When I look at a box of mushrooms like this, how do I know if they're still good?
Well, you'll notice whether or not being the mushrooms are 85 to 95% water, in a very bad packaging format, they're going to start to release that water, right? And so the last thing you want to do is buy a container that contains water inside of it. They also have a tendency to have a very strong aroma, which is quite offsetting. Fresh mushroom is a completely night and day compared to that aroma. So I wish I could smell it right now.
But you can see the little droplets of water inside the package.
Yeah, and that's
this package is dry. This package is a little moist. Maybe this is a moister mushroom. They're still okay to eat, though. They're
still okay. So you definitely want to. All mushrooms should always be cooked. Number one rule. Mushrooms have a cell wall which needs to be broken down, and that cell wall is broken down when you heat the mushrooms 3 to 4 minutes on high heat, pan frying it. After that, the mushroom is raw. So if you're a meat eater, you're cooking that mushroom just like you do the meat, which is rare to well done. And so my depending on the type of mushroom, you're going 3 to 4 minutes is rare. 7 to 8 is rare medium, and then it goes all the way to well done, being 15 plus minutes. Yeah. I don't like cooking mushrooms 15 plus. I like medium rare. That's my personal favorite, especially like with mushrooms like the morel mushroom. Like this mushroom, exquisitely on medium rare component with just a little bit of salt, pepper. It's glorifying to eat.
To me, that may be my most favorite mushroom, the morel.
And it's so versatile, right? And we're, there's mushrooms out there, which I don't have here right now, but turkey tail mushrooms, right? Turkey tail mushrooms are a respiratory powerhouse. People have walked through our store and have told us their personal endeavors in regards to the turkey tail and beating certain cancers. And turkey tail is found everywhere on our continent. It is like Mother Earth telling us, hey, please consume this mushroom as much as possible because
I'm taking care of you.
Right?
I'm taking care of you.
And it's beautiful to see. Exactly. And we, sometimes David Attenborough did that BBC documentary on the first 3 months of COVID. And so the whole time we're talking about, how do we save the planet? How do we save the planet? And that documentary proved to us that all we have to do is stop. And by stopping, we allow the planet to do what it is, because planet is we may be the smartest walking animal on this planet. However, the planet itself is a miraculous tool which will survive. When we talk about global warming, it's not about concern whether or not we're going to survive. The planet will just chew us up and spit us out because we are now the plague on this planet, right? So we need to, and I personally think that when we start consuming 3 to 4 to 5 pounds of mushrooms a week, different varieties of mushrooms, we're starting to within understand that value of what it means to what we want for our planet and our surrounding and our communities.
And this, my darling friend, this is the tortoise. We're the hare.
Yeah.
They'll be here long after we're gone.
For sure.
They have so much to teach us. But they have so much to give us. Oh, look at that.
So we did Sabatino zest is one of the most popular zests. Oprah made it as like her top 10 things of spices that she utilizes in her kitchen, right? And so What's Poppin' is a local company out of Windsor, Ontario. They make popcorn, and so we did a collaboration between them. Truffles were used. Truffles are an exotic. Right, they were used as aphrodisiac back in the day with the Egyptian pharaohs, but it's loaded also in minerals, right? It's loaded in nutrients and minerals, and so when you look at that, you're like, okay, today it's an exotic, and so when you go back to the concept of is any mushroom consumption good? Yes, because this popcorn is way better for you on a nutritional component than a popcorn that's just a popcorn. But that's of course waiting to be tested.
TheMushHub.com is your source for everything mushroom to enhance, elevate, improve, and reconnect your life and nutrition with not only the future of food, but your future and your future of connection back in a full cycle, in a full circle with where we all started. Descended from the kingdom of fungi. Thank goodness we have Dennis Vidmar, the king of the Mush Hub. Thank you so much for making time to be with us. Where can people find your products? Are you in retail stores yet?
We're not in retail stores because we've created our own retail store called the Mushroom Hub. We're planning on having multiple locations between here all the way down to Dallas, all the way to Chicago and the rest of the country because we want to change the narrative on mushrooms. We want to make sure that people are knowing where their products are coming from, and we want to be accountable. We want you to understand what it means to consume the products that we're putting on our menu. And so we're just saying, check us out, the Mushroom Hub. And then, we're quite vocal on social media, on Instagram and LinkedIn. So please do check us out, follow us, and stay tuned as we come into a neighborhood near you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day, Jennifer.
Meet these fantastic men. Ian, Paul, it's so lovely to have you here with us. Welcome. And I raise my glass to welcome you.
Welcome. The incredible Vanessa Hudgens and Oliver Trevina. Hello and welcome.
Hi.
Cheers.
Thank you.
How you doing?
I want to talk about the fact that the incredible Padma Lakshmi is joining us. Our extraordinary friend Diane Meena joins us from her home. Jeremiah Tower, who joins us today from his home in the beautiful Merida, Mexico. He joins us now, Chef Ming Tsai. Aloha and welcome.
What's going on, Jen? Good to see you.